Hey guys, it's Nicole and welcome to my 29-week update. I am into the 3rd trimester now, which is just crazy. I can't believe this is going to be my last week in the 20 weeks and then I go into the 30 weeks, and I just feel like once you're in that 30 mark, then you're really on the homeward stretch. I know I've said this several times, but I just feel like this pregnancy is going really fast. I have 4 weeks left of work and then I go on maternity leave, and I honestly cannot wait. You guys know that I really do love my job. I love what I'm doing, but I'm getting to that point now where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to be done with work. I'm starting to get a bit more tired, and so I'm really looking forward to that. Just going to start off like I normally do and just give you guys a little bit of an update on what baby is doing this week. It's going to be a little bit hard for me to read because I totally smashed my phone last night, and I couldn't get into the Genius bar till tomorrow to get it fixed. So I'm kind of having to look at my phone through big cracks and trying not to get little shards of glass in my fingers. But this week baby weighs about 1.2 kilos, or about the same as a butternut pumpkin, which just sounds like ridiculously huge. They're getting close to 39 centimeters long from head to heel, and his muscles and lungs are continuing to mature, and head is growing bigger to make room for that developing brain. Your baby's bones are hardening with the help of calcium you're supplying. Bubba's movements are getting less violent and more regular as he grows to the bounds of your womb. He is still moving more and more every day, but you're getting near to the point sometime in the next few weeks when his movements will reach the level they'll be at for the rest of your pregnancy and stop increasing. Your growing womb and pressure it can put on your abdomen means you might experience acid indigestion, and as always your increased levels of estrogen and progesterone aren't helping. As he gets bigger in your womb and has less room to unleash those roundhouse kicks, you'll start to feel slight movements like elbows to the uterus more often. These movements may start to feel more defined and more regular, and reaching the point where they generally peak and plateau. Your body is releasing hormones that relax your muscle tissues in preparation for delivering baby and can slow your digestion. There are a lot of things that you can do to limit the impact of acid reflux in your life, from switching to smaller, more frequent meals. What else? Varicose veins are another issue that plague many women during their 3rd trimester, so try to avoid heavy physical stresses and keep good circulation. That is basically about it. So I've definitely noticed in the last week or so that the baby's movements have changed from being like really big kicks to like more rolls and that sort of like slow movements. It does still do quite large kicks, like I just got one before when I was reading that, but it also does a lot of like rolls from one side to the other, and like what feels like, you know, something going across your stomach like that, or feet, or that sort of thing. Like the other day I was just resting my hand on the top of my stomach, and I have a feeling that the baby is still breech. That or it's got a really bony bum, but I just had my hand resting on the top of my stomach and I could feel like something that was really hard and round like go from one side of my belly right underneath my hand like that to the other side. Also the other day when I had my hand around about my belly button area, again I was just resting my hand there, I felt a very definite limb of some sort, so like a long, yeah, like a long limb sort of again move across, and it was very like, there's no doubt that that has to be a limb of some sort. Obviously I couldn't tell if it was an arm or a leg, but yeah, it was very definite limb. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Some of the movements though, like it's obviously pushing out a lot, and that feels really strange, and sometimes it's almost a little bit painful because it's kind of like pushing it out and you're like, dude, you can't push out that far because my skin's not going to stretch that much. Obviously my skin is going to stretch because I've still got like 11 weeks of growing to go, and I definitely feel like probably in the last 2 days, I feel like I've had a massive growth spurt. Like, I don't know if it just felt like it happened overnight. Like, I don't know if I have had a growth spurt, because it's obviously hard to tell on yourself, and Ryan's away at work at the moment, but honestly, like yesterday, I just felt huge is the only way to describe it. I just couldn't get comfortable. I was sitting at work and I'm on a chair, and I just felt so massive. I felt like my stomach was like up here underneath my boobs, and I just felt so uncomfortable. And today I feel better, but I still am starting to feel like I'm getting really big. So I guess in terms of the apps that they were saying that growth spurt was going to be happening, I guess I have gone through that growth spurt. I have also started to experience a little bit of, oh baby, that really hurts. Sorry, it's just like pushing out. I've also started to experience a little bit of pelvic pain. I can't say it's anything terrible at all, and it's mostly at night when I'm in bed and sort of rolling from side to side and then getting out of bed to go to the toilet, which I do anywhere mostly once or twice a night. I've definitely noticed that's becoming more frequent, but I think because the baby's breech, I'm not getting a whole lot of pressure in my pelvis yet, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing, but I think I'm starting to get a little bit of pain in my pelvis. So I imagine that would be worse if the baby was head down, because obviously then they're putting more pressure. I really hope this baby does obviously turn head down sometime soon, because again, I'm just getting so much rib pain on this left side. And like just, yeah, just there really. So it would be nice if the baby turned around to head down. I think sometimes it also lies across my belly, because I often get movements on both sides of my stomach, so my stomach will like go like that almost. So I'm thinking like it's got legs and arms and sort of is, I don't really know what it's doing, but it feels like my whole stomach is moving, which makes me think that maybe it's lying across sometimes. So maybe it's kind of like flips a little bit from breech to transverse, which means lying across. Obviously it's not something I'm really worried about at this stage of pregnancy. I'm, you know, almost 30 weeks now, so I have plenty of time for the baby to turn head down. It's more of like a comfort thing, because my ribs really hurt. But I guess on the flip side of that, if baby was head down, maybe I would be getting more pelvic pain. So like, what is worse, pelvic pain or rib pain? I don't know. Maybe, probably pelvic pain will probably be worse actually, because you know I'm up and active and walking around all day, so maybe I shouldn't complain. My plan is to go see an acupuncturist though. My current acupuncturist has been like closed over Christmas and the New Year, but he is back I believe this week. But this week is just completely full for me, so I'm thinking that I might get in to see him next week, and hopefully by then I might get one of the girls at work to again feel my stomach and tell me whether the baby's breech or not, and then when I go see him I'll mention it and see if he could encourage the baby to flip out of that position to help with that pain. Again, like, I'm not really worried about it, and at the end of the day, if baby's in that position for a reason, I don't really want to force the baby to go into another position, if that makes sense. I have thought briefly about what I would do if the baby was to stay breech for the rest of the pregnancy, just because at my 12-week scan it was lying transverse, and then at my 20-week scan it was breech as well. So if there is a particular reason why this baby is lying breech, if it's the shape of my uterus or, you know, something that's making the baby want to lie in that position, I probably wouldn't try to turn it unless I'm using natural ways of doing that, so like acupuncture. I've also, you know, there's like spinning babies, so there's certain positions that you can do. Those sort of things I would try, but I probably wouldn't actively try to turn baby or get a, well, have a doctor try and turn the baby, because I kind of figure that if the natural ways don't work, that chances are baby's in that position for a reason. And I want to listen to my baby and trust that it knows what position it needs to be in to come out. But again, I'm not really worried. It's just like the midwife in me that makes that thought cross my mind, but I'm not even really going to be thinking about that till I'm like 36 weeks. So I've got like a good 7, well now like 6.5 weeks for the baby to turn around. Apart from that, I don't feel like I'm too swollen. My fingers look okay, but my feet are definitely a little bit swollen. But it is really hot in Brisbane where I live at the moment. Most of the days are at least into the 30s, and obviously I'm on my feet a lot throughout the day, and I'm out and about doing home visits, or I'm in the hospital and on my feet a lot. So by the end of the day they are a bit swollen, but they do go down, so I'm not really worried about that. And they're not super swollen, like I can still see the veins and the bones and stuff in my feet, so they're not that bad, but I can definitely notice that they're swollen. I don't know if other people would notice, but I think that my hands are pretty good though. Another thing to update you guys on is the fact that I did have my diabetes test last week. I think it was last Tuesday, last Monday, last Tuesday. I think it was last Tuesday that I had it. For those of you that don't know, it is the diabetes test for gestational diabetes, and what it involves is you fast from the night before. You go into the pathology place and they take your fasting blood levels, and then they give you a really sugary drink, and you drink that, and then they test your blood levels at 1 hour and 2 hours. And then the idea behind it is that if you don't have gestational diabetes, your body will get rid of that sugar by the 2 hour mark. If you do have gestational diabetes, then your body isn't as good at getting rid of that sugar, so your levels are still going to be high at the 2 hour mark. Thankfully my levels came back fine. I was pretty confident that they were going to be normal, but there's always that small little bit of doubt in you that perhaps, you know, it could come back high. Especially like I've seen ladies that are the fittest, most healthiest people, and like no risk factors, and then they've gotten gestational diabetes. So there was still that little bit of doubt in myself that, you know, perhaps I could have it, but I'm very happy to say that I don't have it. Everything else on my blood test was normal, except that my vitamin D levels are on the low end, which is really silly because I live in Australia and I should have amazing vitamin D levels, but I do spend a lot of time in the hospital under artificial light, and then when we are outside, I think, you know, as a population we're probably maybe a little bit too sun smart, and obviously stay covered and always wearing sunscreen and sunglasses and hats and stuff like that sort of thing, so we probably don't get as much of the vitamin D as we should. So I'm trying to make a conscious effort to get a little bit more sun. So on the weekend, you know, I went into the pool. My mum's got a pool, so I enjoyed some time in the pool, and I do have some supplements that I used to take, so I have them here to take, but as much as possible I'd like to try and increase them naturally as well, but they are quite low, so I'm probably going to have to supplement as well, because obviously it does have implications for baby if my vitamin D levels stay really low in terms of calcium and that sort of thing. So it's something that I definitely need to get on top of. I'm pretty sure my next midwife visit is next week, or maybe even the week after. I'm not quite sure. And I guess at that appointment we will start to be talking about birth plan and that sort of thing. I don't know if I've mentioned it on here before, but I have hired a birth photographer, and I have just organised a doula to encapsulate my placenta as well. That's something that I might do a separate video on. That way, you know, you guys have a little bit more information about it, and have a dedicated video. If you have questions about that, you can leave them down below and I'll make sure I answer them in the video. If there's other videos that you want me to do in terms of pregnancy, baby related, anything like that, also leave them down below. I will be doing like a nursery tour and like a what's in my diaper bag and hospital bag and that sort of thing later on down the track. But like I said in my last video, I haven't finished the nursery yet. It's probably something that I'm going to tackle once I've started maternity leave. I have my baby shower on the weekend, so I'm guessing I'm probably going to get gifts and that sort of stuff that I will need to sort out and maybe add to the nursery and that sort of thing, and by then I'll know also what things I still need to buy, so I will do that as well. At the moment I'm sort of doing my updates fortnightly rather than weekly because I've been so busy, but coming into the third trimester I might find that I have to start updating you guys weekly if things are getting more exciting or if more things are happening, so I'll just kind of play that by ear as well and see how I go. The last thing I'll do is leave you a shot of my bump, and I'll have to go back and watch my bump date from last time to see if it's grown, but I definitely think it has grown. I honestly don't know how much extra room there is for this baby. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling really big. So this is my stomach from the front. I'm obviously wearing a dress, but I've just popped some shorts on. This is my bump from the side, and from the other side, definitely feel like it's gotten a lot bigger since I last updated you guys. Again, this is it from the side, from the front, and from the other side. I just feel like up here now is so full, like the top of my uterus is probably about there, and then everything else is just pushed up here, so it just feels like so tight and uncomfortable up here, because everything is just pushing upwards, and that's what makes me think that this baby is not head down.